Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the True Beast Trainer Episode 8, brought to you by X-Dog. You already know what time it is. I'm Zach Valentine, as you already know. For those of you that's just tuning in for the first time, if you see that question mark at the bottom of the screen, please be sure to put all your questions inside the question mark. Tonight, we got a special guest coming on. Dr.O, our resident guest, licensed veterinarian, animal chiropractor. There we go.
All right.
All right. Zach's got the Cincinnati Eagles hat on.
The
right
Bengals. Now. That's right. Joey B. We rocking with Joey B.
Of course, we got Dr.O tonight, man. How's everybody doing tonight?
Doing amazing. How about you?
Great. I was on daddy daycare duties on fucking Thursday, so it was a little rough for me today, but I had a couple milestones, so I'm very proud of myself.
All right.
But
changed your first poopy diaper?
No, not my first poopy diaper, but I have to record the I don't know what it is. Like, I used to be able to ride like these roller coaster rides growing up, pick up all types of dog shit, had no problem. But as I got older, and maybe you can give me some advice on this, but roller coaster rides make me absolutely sick. So going to the Texas State Fair is like disastrous for me. And also picking up any type of dog shit where I'm looking at it, like, it messes me up. Is there any diagnosis for that? Because I literally have to stuff my nose with tissue paper to do it. I just have this gag reflex. I'm not like Zach. I have a gag reflex.
Damn, bro, you weren't supposed to tell everybody.
Vicks Vapor Rub.
Damn, that's actually a pretty good idea. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, there's something about where as long as the texture, it's all about the texture for me when you think about it. Like when it's like gooey and just shit everywhere, it's just disastrous. If it's solid, I'm good, But but so tonight, let's talk about this.
So you want dogs on a good natural food, no fillers, and because that's and people don't realize that. I can tell what your dog is eating when he poops in my waiting room.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy. Like when I see like kennel people are like, "Oh, I gotta pick up shit today," and I'm like, "Well," and they show their kennels that they have to clean up. I'm like, "Well, you can drastically reduce that if you really were serious about it."
Yeah, feed better food, and it's usually more economical to feed better food than it is to feed what they're feeding right now.
Yeah, I don't know what the reason is. Me and Zach, because we're in the bully community, so we deal with this a lot. And it's like everybody's kind of looking for the best, cheapest alternative, right? Like, But there is no best. I mean, yeah, I guess there is best, cheapest, but I don't know, man. Like, at the end of the day, like when you really look at it, like there's a company out there that has a certain way how they infuse their fat into their kibble. And they're based out of Canada, and their calorie intake is like 600 plus calories per cup, right? Which I'm like, okay, that's really interesting. But how they infuse it, but like one of their main ingredients is like whole kernel corn, or they use certain type of ingredients. And at the end of the day, the dogs are gaining weight, but they're gaining weight because of inflammation. They're not really gaining like proper muscle weight. And so I'm like, well, you can actually go to your local grocery store, and if let's say you have a local brand, right, of kibble that is maybe 450 calories, 500 calories per cup. And you can take a tablespoon of lard, beef tallow, chicken fat, or like let's say duck fat, and 1 tablespoon will give you 130 additional calories. So now you have a 630 calorie per cup that is at a higher percentage and more bioavailable. Right. I don't know. That's just my opinion.
Well,
and super, like way more affordable.
The only thing that made it bioavailable was the fat that you added to it, because the kibble is not bioavailable.
What do you mean by that?
Well, in order to make a kibble, it doesn't matter what the ingredients are. All kibble is cooked to 360 degrees.
Every single one, even low and gentle cooked.
That's how you make kibble. That's how you make it so it won't rot tomorrow.
Shelf life. Yeah.
Yep. And let's face it, digestion and rotting are the same process.
Okay.
We're gonna take food and we're gonna put it in an environment, break it down so that there's nothing left.
Gotcha.
All right. So we've taken kibble, all commercial kibble, any dog food that's in a bag that will sit for 1.5 years before it rots.
Okay? That's a long time.
And we give it to a dog and say, you got 12 hours.
I seen this guy one time.
Unhydrated too, right? So then you got to think they're not even hydrated in the food. Or
the scary shit is here, Zach, is like I seen this video on YouTube. It was probably about 2 months ago where this guy was bragging about he had a McDonald's cheeseburger. It was like 30 years old, and it looked literally like the McDonald's cheeseburger today.
Yep.
Like if you were to get the fresh one, it sat out for maybe a week, you know?
It's just like the cheese. Like if you like really think about it, you try to reheat a McDonald's burger and the cheese just doesn't really melt.
Yeah.
Like it just kind of, that's concerning,
and even the bun, it didn't rot.
Yeah. It didn't even mold. Like it didn't mold.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that have done that with those hamburgers, and they just overcook. They're overprocessed and they don't digest.
Well, we went through an era, like when it comes to supplements, we went through it's dialed back because people are more educated now, but we went through an era where everybody thought supplements equaled steroids, right? Like I'm all natural. My dogs are all natural. And they would start naming these different dog foods, right? And I'm like, well, just turn your bag around, right? And all those dog foods were infused with supplements. Like they would look at, like, for example, the Vitabully or the True Beast and Show, which is a daily multivitamin, and go, I wouldn't feed that steroid shit. It's fucking steroids, right? And then you're like, well, turn your bag around. Well, you are actually feeding it, and it isn't natural. And the majority of the ingredients that are in your dog food is all synthetic multivitamin.
Right.
Yeah.
And now we've got some good dehydrated food and that freeze dried food, and that's totally different than this cooked kibble. You know, because when we freeze dry it, at least it maintains some
even
of it.
Fresh frozen, right? Like fresh frozen, like getting shipped to your house, like. Yeah. And I mean, there's so many different things that you can do as far as
and the one thing that I like commercial food. I like commercially prepared food so much better than I do homemade, because I'm frankly not smart enough to balance a dog food diet.
Yeah. Well, balancing doesn't mean just balancing the actual food. Like, I mean, you can balance it, right? But every dog's needs is different.
Well, not only that, but there's 38 different chemicals that influence calcium absorption.
Yeah, so
only 38?
Yes.
38. Yeah, when you think about it like that, and I think that's the concerning thing for a lot of people when it comes to feeding, like you said, going to the store and finding duck fat or whatever. They just don't know, and it's so alarming because you so many people, you can't feed your dog that. Your dog can't have this. And then at the end of the day, majority of them are just so brainwashed to where you stereotypically just wake up and go to the store and grab a bag of kibble and let it be,
Well, yeah. Somebody had talked about, like somebody says right now about Dr. Becker, and Dr. Becker, I remember what about 95% of commercial kibble is like super processed, and now the industry is about 85%. So it's going down. Like the industry is becoming more consciously aware. But even like Zach and I, like Zach said, hey, I picked up some magnesium. I say, oh, what type of magnesium did you pick up? Because there's like 9 different types of magnesium, and they all affect you different ways. And if you take a certain type of magnesium, you're going to be groggy in the daytime. But if you take it in the evening, you'll be fine. You'll sleep very well. And each iron, each vitamin can influence, like you said, different vitamins and different minerals in a way.
Right. And Dr. Becker does make it easy. She does have some really good recipes. However, are you sure that your quality of chicken is the same as the quality of chicken that I'm using, as the quality of chicken that she's using?
Yeah.
Because chicken is different quality. If you got chicken from me, it's free range, organically fed chicken.
Yeah.
Chiropractically adjusted. All right.
Yeah. Hey, if your fucking chicken isn't chiropractically adjusted, you ain't on my level.
So I seen this thing, fun fact. So I seen this fun fact about chickens yesterday. This lady says that they add crushed red peppers to their chicken feed, and the chicken's receptors to taste hot or spicy is not there. So they don't taste the spicy, but the red peppers are like a natural dewormer for the chickens.
Huh.
Yeah, probably a little bit. Yeah.
All right,
chickens don't have a lot of parasites, but anyway.
Let's go down let's put our fucking aluminum fucking tinfoil hats on. So we've been seeing these videos lately, Dr.O, where these chicken farmers who are like egg farmers, right? They noticed that they were feeding a certain feed from a certain big box company, and their chicken stopped laying eggs. And then when they switched it to a different feed, not like a different feed, like a
or
completely species.
Yeah.
Table scraps are a completely different species. Their chickens started laying eggs, and I'm talking about like these chickens were laying eggs for, I mean, they had 20 years of experience, and all of a sudden, like, their chickens aren't laying eggs. They're like, what the fuck is going on? And now their chickens aren't laying these eggs anymore on a time clock that is based on 2 decades.
Right. No, I understand. Yeah, and we haven't had any problem with our chickens laying eggs, and we feed both table scraps and organic food.
Yeah.
We don't get what should I say? We try to stay away from some of the name brands. Food whenever we buy any kind of food.
Yeah.
Because we've noticed that it doesn't matter what species of food you're buying. When you're buying from some of those name brands, there's a lot of waste products in there.
Well, I don't think the everyday dog owner understands when it comes to these big name brand companies. They're not fighting over $20, $30 a bag. They're fighting over like 15 cents a bag,
correct?
20 cents a bag. So what is important to them is not near as important to us, because we're like, shit, dude, like 20 cents a bag. Yeah, but when you're moving like 100 million tons, it makes a big difference.
Right.
In your bottom line.
Yeah, they look for nickels and dimes and pennies even, because a penny difference, a
penny difference is multi-millions for them.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But, that's something to keep thought of, for people that understand that majority of these big box brands that might serve fish food or chicken food or whatever also sell dog food. So if you think chickens are having a problem with reproduction, you have issues with your female not reproducing, small litters, miscarriage, absorptions. A lot of things are happening with females these days.
Didn't you say, Zach, last week we talked about how you're a big fucking peanut butter and jelly fan, and you started using Smucker's grape jelly, and you had a hard time getting it up.
What?
I'm just saying, and Smucker's is one of the biggest companies. So men, if you're out there, stay away from the grape jelly.
Yeah, don't use Smucker's. But no, just think about it. Like, for people that are, if you're running into issues, if you're having problems with your female, getting pregnant, or any of that, it might be the food.
Well, here's the thing: big box will cut corners.
Yeah.
For at the end of the day to save bottom line.
Yeah.
They don't really care. At the end of the day, they only care about the bottom line, which is their pockets.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, 3 things that we need and basically when you're talking about reproduction, we're going to talk about movement today.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to talk about any kind of health. Whenever we talk about anything in an animal, whether it be a chicken, a dog, a person, the most important thing for the health of that animal is the health of the individual cell.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what we're worried about, is how healthy are those individual cells. And so if we're putting on a bunch of water weight, a bunch of inflammation, because of our food, how healthy are those cells?
Well, and the late great Fabio had always told me about this, right? He's a friend of mine, right? And he's like, it doesn't matter if you're the smallest seaman, you're the smallest seaman or the largest whale in the ocean. We're all made up of massive living cells, and cellular health is the bottom line. That's what matters, right? We're all a mass of living cells. Period. Yeah. So cellular health should be the bottom line.
Right, and so your cell health, and in order to be healthy, we have to be able to get nutrients in, waste products out, and do it in a timely fashion.
All right. So if you guys have any questions for Dr. O, any veterinarian type questions, or et cetera, go ahead and leave them in the question box. But we're going to get into some top 5s tonight for this episode. And the top 5, what we're going to ask Dr. O tonight is, what are the top 5 reasons why someone should consider taking their dog to an animal chiropractor?
Let's switch those questions. I want to do question 2 first.
Okay. So the biggest symptoms of why people, the most common symptoms that you see when it comes to people coming to you to address their dog's issues.
Right. Well, number 1, and this is pretty much across the board for animal chiropractors.
Take notes, guys. Take notes.
And this is it. This one gets us, is the first reason that I brought my animal to the animal chiropractor is because I've tried everything else, including spending a shit ton of money, and nothing's making a difference.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many people have come in and spent over $10,000. And all we do is make a couple adjustments to the dog's spine, and immediately, boom, we have changes. I have more before and after videos. I mean, we're going to start putting them up on reels here pretty quick, but
yeah,
it's just like, I mean, I had a lady in the other day that her dog couldn't get on the couch for 4 years. So, my adjusting bail is 2 foot up, about the same height as the couch, and couldn't get up and down. And she put the dog, she said, somebody said I needed to do this before I bought him a cart. And we had to pick the dog up, put it on the bail, adjusted the atlas. Dog got off the bail. I said, let's jump him back up here. And she looked at me and said, what? I said, yeah, have him jump back up here. And he did. Boom. And she started crying. She said, I spent 10 grand and that's all he needed. Well, it's not all he needed.
Yeah.
It's a lot, but that's what he needed. So number 1 is, I've tried everything else and nothing works.
Okay.
Which unfortunately shouldn't be that. Number 2 is, my dog's having trouble getting up and down. Got arthritis.
Stan has that problem.
Yeah. Can't stand up, can't sit down, have a lot of trouble with mobility.
Okay.
So that's number 2. Number 3 is, probably in my practice, is a loss of competitive edge.
All
right.
Can you go deeper into that? Can you get really deep into that?
Well, we see dogs that start to slip. Like, I'll have bite dogs. I got to count. She's a 6-time national champion now, that came into my practice when she first, they couldn't get her to score over 84. Genetically, she should be better. Drive-wise, she should be better. Her handler and training-wise, she should have been better, but they just couldn't get her to do it. Somebody said, go try a chiropractor. So they brought her in, said, we want to try a chiropractic, but we just want her to live comfortably in her old age.
Yeah.
And
what was she fed, if you don't mind me asking?
She was on a raw food. She was on a raw food diet.
Okay, so it wasn't an inflammation issue as far as that derived from her nutrition. Okay.
Nope. So we adjusted her. It was her atlas, first cervical vertebra, which goes out a lot in bite work. Goes out a lot in agility ball work. It goes out in a lot of different things.
Why is that? I know why bite work, but why like agility work? Because bite work is probably like you're constantly getting jammed up here. But why agility work or anything else?
Well, whiplash. So whiplash occurs in dogs that jump for a living. So let's see if I can do this. So this is the head. Okay. So whiplash in a human, your head goes forward, backwards, forwards, right?
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
All right. So now let's do a dog. Your dog is getting ready to go over a jump, right?
Yes.
Gravity. He can't see. Brings his head back up. Boom, boom, boom. Same exact motion. Dr. Amy and I did a study. We looked at 104 dogs. We looked at them independently of finding out what they did.
Yeah.
So we looked at them, said this dog has whiplash. We just wrote down what they have.
Yeah.
And then we said, we put them in 2 groups, whiplash or no whiplash. And then the owner had filled out a paper. Where do they live? What do they do for a living? So basically, do they jump or do they not jump? 94% of the dogs that jump for a living had whiplash lesions. 19% of dogs that didn't jump for a living had whiplash lesions.
So what do you think that derived, the 19% derived from if they weren't doing like just coming off the couch, going downstairs?
Motion?
Yeah, who knows where they got theirs from, but
yeah.
But and a lot of the dogs, so we had some dogs that were like, well, they lived in the second tier of a store of kennels, right? And the people were like, well, my dog doesn't jump for a living. And then they'd have him jump up into the second, into his house. And then in the morning he jumps out. So they were jumping for a living, But so we really looked at what they did. But how many dogs don't jump throughout the day?
Yeah.
We had a bunch of herding dogs that really spend most of their time down.
Yeah.
And
that makes sense too. Yeah, just constantly sniffing the ground.
So right now it's top 3. We got tried everything else, but nothing has made a difference. Number 2, problem getting up and down. Number 3, loss of competition. Number 4, we consider that whiplash or is that
that's part of because
loss of competition.
Their dog has whiplash.
Okay, what would be number 4?
Number 4 is reproduction issues.
Yeah.
Zach, you know about this.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not getting pregnant, not being able to mount.
So what would be the cause of that? I mean, how can animal chiropractic help a dog become more fertile?
So two reasons. One is that every organ in the body is controlled by the nervous system, and the brain controls them, and the brain controls everything via feedback, a feedback loop. Okay.
Yeah.
So number 1, ovarian formation. So how many eggs are we going to have this month? It's going to be determined by a feedback loop. And if the brain says mom's not in a very good position right now, for whatever reason, so we're getting some faulty feedback. All right. So then the brain's not going to make the ovaries have enough follicles rupture at the appropriate time, so we have a large litter. So now we'll have fewer eggs develop to go into puppies. All right. So that's one. The second one is that the uterus is a muscle. Okay. And muscle, it has to have tone in order to make a good home. And muscles that have no tone aren't getting proper nerve flow. So if we don't have proper nerve flow, then we won't have good tone.
So would it be safe to say that a dog that is more conditioned or I always preach that muscle is the currency to longevity, but would it be fair to say that more conditioned muscles improves nerve flow?
Yes, but if the spine's not right, just having strong muscles won't put the spine back. The other thing is if the spine's out, you'll start to get asymmetry in muscle formation. So I would say balanced muscles would
explain to people what asymmetry means. Like, for example, like my back spine, I have one muscle between my spine is bigger than the other one.
Okay, so
and it's off.
So see, this is one side of my hand. This is one hand, and there's my other hand. You
Okay.
see how they're different sizes?
Yes.
Because they're further from the camera. But that's asymmetry. They're not the same size.
Let me ask you this. Are testicles considered muscles or organs?
They're an organ.
All right. So, Zach, your testicles are not asymmetrical muscularity-wise.
Now,
just checking for you, brother.
For the male, we have a lot of males that won't mount. They don't. Because their back hurts. You know.
More like extreme breeds, right? Like in the case like that, or just any breed.
Any breed. We've had all kinds. I mean, I've had even some. We had a Moody in here.
What's a Moody?
Oh, it's like a border collie, small border collie. So a very agile breed, not really extra muscular, but he was just, and he wouldn't. They're an imported breed from Hungary, but multi-purpose, and he showed no interest in females, and so we adjusted him, and she took him home, and immediately he mounted somebody in heat. So, it was just boom. His back hurt, and it wasn't, he had no interest. So,
hey, Zach, go ahead and ask these next 3 questions in the question mark. We went through the top 5. I'm going to switch out these batteries. I think I know what you're saying.
And then I've got one more. So that was the 4, right?
Yep.
So
what's number 5?
And then digestion problems. Digestion problems.
Yeah.
You've got problems with digestion, and you're not getting it done. So let's, help the digestive system work with neural function.
Now, these are all things that, that's a checklist. If somebody brings their dog in or their animal, for say, these are all things that
Those are the top 5 reasons that we see people come to us.
People come to you? Okay.
Not the top 5 reasons they should come to us, but that's the top 5 reasons they do.
That's interesting because, in the bully community, I would advise people to look into the chiropractic because they like to use the spring pole a lot, which is where, it's like a rope hanging from something and the dog is basically just hanging straight up and down, just shaking from the neck. So I would imagine that plays a big toll and probably needing to be adjusted.
It does. And any kind of bite works.
Yeah.
And so anytime so go ahead and, do you have a pen handy?
Yep.
All right. So rub your neck. Feel the muscles of your neck, both sides.
Mm-hmm.
Feel that?
Yeah.
Okay. Now take the pin and bite it. What happened to the muscles of your neck?
They got more tense.
They got tight.
Yeah, tighter.
So remember how we were talking about that normal head bob?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What happened to your head bob when you put the pen in your mouth?
It kind of got tighter too.
It got tight, so it didn't move as much. Well, the purpose of that head bob is to help the head goes up to allow the dog to bring their legs forward.
Mm-hmm.
The head goes down to bring the back legs forward. Okay? So that head bob is important. You put a pin in your mouth, what happened to the movement of your back legs? Your neck got tight, your head bob got down, wasn't as big, so what happened to the movement of your back legs?
They go back?
They got shorter, didn't they?
Yeah.
Now you have stiff stifle syndrome.
Okay, so what was number 5?
Number 5 was digestion.
Digestion. Okay, perfect.
But
let me ask you
this. We're
this.
talking about a ball in the mouth.
So there was a study that was, I forget what it was, where they had people who were bench pressing, they were biting down on something, like a certain type of mouthpiece that actually increased their ability to push more weight. Is that very similar, I guess, to what you guys are talking about now, or how it influences?
No, we're not. Because what we're talking about is movement and how the dog moves.
Yeah.
And when a dog moves, unlike you or me, the dog requires every bone, every muscle, every ligament, every tendon, and every joint in their body to move in order to take one normal stride. If anything is not working properly, the dog can't move properly.
That's great. So why is that with dogs? I'm sure with horses and any other species on 4 legs and not humans.
It's 4 legs, yes. And like we were just talking about with Zach, when the head bob goes down, it takes the weight forward off the back end. It allows the back leg to come forward. But the back leg can only come forward as far as the front leg moved out of the way. Because if the back leg tries to move further than the front leg did, now we get crab walking. Okay.
Yeah.
So then the head has to go up. The head goes up. That allows the front leg to come forward. Okay. The further the head goes up, the further the leg gets to come forward. So if we restrict the motion of the neck by biting on a ball, by biting on a toy, okay, then we restrict the whole body motion. We've done some studies where we looked at dogs, flyball dogs, and we looked at the flyball dog go down, open mouth, and come back with the ball in their mouth, and they don't jump as high, or they jump higher coming back. Because it's so
because the ball's in
higher.
Their mouth or not in their mouth?
Because the ball's in their mouth, and so their proprioception, they're not moving, so they're moving higher. They have to jump higher. And then the other thing though that happens is when they put the ball in one side of their mouth and not the other, unbalanced.
So how's that different than
crooked?
How's that different from like the mouthpiece thing of like, bench pressers being able to perform at a much higher level, being able to get stronger?
Or a football player.
Because they're biting down on something.
Well, with us, we don't have to move everything. I can move just fine and never move my arms. I can walk from point A to point B and never move my arms.
So you're saying dogs, if they have a proper bite on a toy or anything in their mouth, that they perform much more efficiently?
No.
Or less efficiently?
They move less efficiently whenever they have anything in their mouth.
Okay.
Because it restricts the motion of their neck. So you missed. So feel the muscles of your neck.
I don't know if my hands are big enough because
not your throat.
Come in from the back. Come in from the back.
Unlike Zach,
not your
skinny
throat,
neck.
Feel those muscles.
Yeah.
Now just bite down hard.
Okay.
What happens to those muscles?
They tense up.
Yeah. So what happened to your head bob? See, now your head bob.
Zach has a massive head bob. I don't have the same type of head bob.
But your dog does.
Yeah.
See? So your dog's head bob is going to go away anytime you put something in his mouth.
Yeah.
But it also impedes his movement at the same time.
Yep.
Interesting.
So the whole dog moves. So we're not worried about, I don't worry about so much about whether they have a toy in their mouth or they don't have a toy in their mouth. But when you put that toy in one side and it's unbalanced, that's when we start to have problems. Because if I go over a jump, all right, or or say I come down off of that ball that's hanging up, you'd like me to land square, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if my head bob is messed up, I'm going to land like this.
So for all you handlers out there who in show confirmation, and like we've had a lot of show confirmation judges on these past few episodes, they actually look at your dogs as they're going in the ring, moving around the ring, and even when they're not free stacked, you may not want to consider rewarding them with their toy or ball or anything until you're completely out of that ring, right? Because it could affect their movement and affect their presentation.
Yeah. And also if you can get your dog looking forward, okay, and
head
keep
straight,
them looking forward, head straight, their gait will be better than if it's a little kinked.
Yeah, what's his name? Eric Santiago. He's a professional handler he's got a lot of content on YouTube. But he does like AKC, UKC, and now he trains other people. And that's one thing that he tries to get his clients to focus on is getting the dog to get the confidence to gait looking forward proudly instead of looking at you for guidance, because he said it throws that imbalance when they're not gonna be gating as good as they should, because
the details matter right there. That's
It does.
insane.
And because, so even for us, right? So put your head straight forward and do this.
Yeah.
Okay. Now look one way and try to do it. Put your arms down. Put your arms down. Look sideways.
Yeah. You
Now
more.
put them both up again.
this
Totally.
whatever
so
side you're looking to, it kind of throws it off to the side more. Yeah.
So like when you're talking about like protection sports and they're doing these healing sessions, right? And the dog's like totally focused. We're not really seeing the dog's true potential of its gait.
No.
Yeah.
No. And there's a, so when I started working with some of these protection dogs, I said, we need to teach them to heel on the other side so that we can balance their bodies. And I was like, oh my God, no, we can't do that. They'll screw up. So
that totally makes sense though. It's like literally run. Like I had a problem with my left hip because I ran track and all we did was run the same fucking direction all the time.
Yeah.
So I had the same problem all the time. And the only way to probably really balance it out was to run the opposite way all the time.
Yeah.
Well, it's like I was telling you about my shoulder, right? Playing baseball for so long, like my left shoulder
was it baseball
rotary cut. Yeah.
I'm just saying.
But now when I think about it, when I sleep, I usually have my left arm under my pillow. So now it's like my shoulders like turn like this all the time, and I can feel it now when I work out. Like it's all just it hurts.
So we taught those dogs to go get pizza.
What? Hold on a second. What does that have to do with like?
That's just it. They said, oh, we can't teach them to heel on the wrong side because I might give the wrong command. So we taught them to go get pizza. So this is normal heel, right? This is go get pizza. Because you'd never screw up and accidentally in the middle of a competition go get pizza.
All right. So, do they actually go get pizza?
No, it's just this.
It's just a command.
It's just a command. Yeah.
Okay. So let me ask you this: dogs that are in the show ring that are kind of pretty much like NASCAR, they're always going the same direction. They're always kind of leaning to that left to go. And would it be a bright idea to take them when you're on your free time and go the opposite way?
Bet. Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, I mean, in humans, golfers, bowlers, they all, a right-handed golfer will have a left-handed club at home in his backyard. He's not going to do it where anybody can see him, but he's going to work those muscles on the other side of his back at home.
Yeah, because I mean, naturally throughout the day, you tend to lead to your power hand, right? And then your other hand just doesn't really do shit all day.
Right. So, and a bowler the same way. He's got a left-handed ball somewhere. So he goes and rolls it.
There's these new age baseball players, they can hit from both sides of the plate, and there's new pitchers that can throw left and right now.
Yeah,
there's actually a quarterback
glove out.
Well, there's actually that glove, and there's a quarterback that actually can throw left hand, right hand coming out of high school right now. It's bananas.
Well, my grandpa was ambidextrous, but only on the fact that he told me that when he was a kid, they didn't make left-handed baseball gloves.
Yeah.
So he had to learn. He was left-handed, but he had to learn everything right-handed until a certain time and age where they started coming out with left-handed gloves.
That's crazy.
So,
all right, so we went from the top 5 most common reasons why someone comes and see you. Let's look at the top 5 reasons why someone should come to see an animal chiropractor to prevent things, to prevent issues, I guess.
Can I ask one more question on the
last? Yeah, and Ashley Martis 78 says, love the book, Dr.O.
So when they come in and their problem is digestion, what is the most common adjustment that creates
ring dinger
digestion issue? Bro, I want the ring dinger. That shit feels like it.
There's animal chiropractor that actually does that now. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, he's in Houston, ain't he?
Dr.O hates it.
It's an atlas. It's an atlas move,
Yeah.
It's Usually the Atlas, because the Atlas controls everything.
Yeah.
I mean, when you get your Atlas adjusted, it balances autonomic nervous system, which is your sympathetic, parasympathetic, or your fight and flight. And a lot of the dogs that come see us with GI problems, they're in sympathetic overload. I mean, and it's why we believe every dog needs a job.
Yeah.
Okay. They all need a job, but because if you're in sympathetic overload, you're not digesting your food. All right. Right.
True.
And I don't care what your job is. Even if your job, is to be in sympathetic drive.
Yeah.
All right. They're not in truly these protection dogs, these bite dogs. Doesn't matter. If your dog is going crazy over the dummy, right? Or the decoy. Sorry.
Yeah.
The decoy.
No, you said
decoy,
dummy. You said
the decoy.
You said dummy. We heard you. The idiot is what you wanted to say, but
yeah,
you said
the decoy.
Dummy. Okay.
If he's
decoy.
going crazy over the decoy, a good dog, you go stop, he'll stop.
Yeah.
He's not in sympathetic overdrive. Okay.
Interesting.
But if you have an untrained dog that's going crazy, biting the heck out of something, and there's a thing in Missouri right now where they're talking about, how training these dogs to do bite work is terrible. No, it is the best thing that you can do for a dog. Give them a job, train them to do a job, because then they know when not to do their job.
Yeah.
Okay? And if they don't know, dogs bite. That's what they're supposed to do.
It's the other hand. It's their main hand in a way.
Yeah.
They have 3 reasons that they do what they do. They play, they protect, and they eat. Play, pray, and protect. That's what they do. Okay? And they're going to do it with their teeth and with their mouth.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah,
Right?
like they don't pick. What are they supposed to do? Pick up shit with their paws? Like,
so we need to
like,
train them. We need to train them so that they know when not to do those things.
Yeah. I mean, that's the whole, it starts from the very beginning. I mean, from suckling to like, hey, my puppy's biting too much, right? Like, they investigate with their mouths. It's kind of interesting because it's like, people ask me, what are the top 5 benefits that you hear about what the X-Dog Vets offers? I'm like, you're going to see smaller stool. And they're like, what? I was like, yeah, your dog shit's going to get smaller because he's burning more calories. Like exercise influences the digestive health. So it makes total sense to me when you talk about this, but no one really thinks about that.
Oh, there's all kinds of benefits.
I would say chiropractic work it influences, like not just digestive health, but like, for example, like they say exercise is a great probiotic and people don't understand that shit. And I would say chiropractic is a great probiotic as well.
It is. Yep. And the other thing is it's been proven that if you're chiropractically adjusted, you handle white noise better.
Yeah.
All right. So that's stuff that goes on in the background,
what about black noise?
No, just white.
Okay. I'm just asking, Zach. You wanted to say it. I saw. I looked at your face. And you wanted.
I'm thinking about myself. I'm like, damn. Maybe I should go to chiropractic.
Well, you should, because
or be quiet when I'm talking to you.
Everything that goes on in the background of your brain that you don't consciously think about is white noise. What's the last?
People don't explain to people what white noise is because they don't really understand what that is or gray matter or anything like that.
It's all the stuff that goes on in your brain that you don't think about. So when's the last time you told your heart to beat, Zach?
Never.
That's white.
You don't have
white,
to. Yeah.
That's white noise in the brain.
Yeah. Just the communication from the brain to the neurological system.
Thank you. Yeah.
Telling stuff. So if you look at your finger, at your finger and see that cell right there in the middle of your finger, look at it. Look at it. Right there, that one right there. All right, it just took a crap.
Yeah.
All right,
gotcha.
That cell took a crap.
Yeah.
Now you got to get rid of that waste material. When's the last time you thought about that?
Yeah. I never.
And then the one on your pinky finger, he's hungry. You better feed him.
Yeah, we talk about this about habits, developing habits all the time. Like no one, like after a while, like you just subconsciously tie your shoe, or brush your teeth, or these certain habits that you have. And it's same thing with white noise. But I just want to make sure the listeners understood what we were talking about.
Yeah, white
noise.
They
fucking don't, because when you think of noise, you think of loud, but it's really quiet.
It's quiet, and it's stuff that goes on. And we play white noise machines so that we can drown out outside noise. But in your brain, anything that goes on in the background is white noise. So it's things like your heart beating, breathing,
blinking.
Yeah,
blinking.
That's crazy.
Breathing. Yep.
Yeah.
That's all white noise because you don't think about it. I mean, I could sit here and go, breathe, Zach, breathe. And he might listen to me, he might not. But if I don't breathe again.
Yeah.
All right. It's going to be pretty boring. It's going to be a pretty boring podcast if 12 times a minute I got to tell Zach, breathe, Zach.
But what about the people that have to have their headphones? Remember, I remember when we was kids, people used to like wear headphones, and remember it would like be telling them to breathe.
Yeah.
Like, is that a neurological problem? Like they're not firing on?
They're not firing on everything. Yeah.
Well, it's just like when we teach fighters, right? Like being in MMA or boxing or anything like that, most of them hold their fucking breaths, right? Like they're like, hey, relax, breathe. Yeah, somebody's trying to knock my head off. You want me to relax? And you know what I mean? But they hold their breath. And so you got to, hey, breathe, take it easy.
I watched this thing the other day, and they were talking about the amount of people that don't breathe through their nose and how beneficial actually breathing through your nose, not your mouth, is. Like they say through the nose is filtered, like the system we have through the nose filters the oxygen. How
do dogs do? Do dogs breathe through their nose or mouth? Is that studies?
Most dogs breathe into their nose and out through their mouth. It's especially panting. But if your dog is panting, that's a reason. So one of the reasons that you might bring your dog to the chiropractor is if your dog is panting for no apparent reason. Like, it's not that hot in this house, but he pants all the time. Okay. One of the main reasons that we get rid of carbon dioxide is through breathing. Okay. Either one of you ever broken a rib?
No.
I broke a lot of stuff.
But I've heard it's like ridiculously almost it's so uncomfortable.
Yeah, they say it's really hard to breathe.
It only hurts when you breathe.
Yeah.
And if you breathe deep, it's terrible.
Only when you breathe.
Only when you breathe. Which is
don't stop breathing. You'll
12 times a minute.
12 times a minute. So if you can't breathe deep, then you're going to pant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So how long?
Well, wait a minute.
Okay, go ahead.
And if you're panting, you're not blowing off CO2. So then the organ that picks that up is your kidneys. And now you're going to be peeing in the house. So now you're panting and peeing in the house. Go see the chiropractor, get your rib cage adjusted.
How long is too long for a dog to be panting? Like if somebody's just like, I think a lot of people don't really pay attention to that. Like
there's too many influences, right? Like
yeah.
And there was a study done in Auburn with sled dogs. I think we've talked about it once. And we're talking double coated breeds in August in Auburn, Alabama. And they went on a 5-mile run, and they had all kinds of probes in them. And they got back, fed the dogs. They were all doing great. They put them up in their runs. And they went in and hooked the black box up to the computer and printed these things out. And these dogs were spiking temperatures of 107 to 109 during the workout. And they went out, they panicked. They went running out to look at the dogs, and the dogs were all like,
yeah. And here's the thing, people like even get even deeper into it. It's like people don't even understand the difference between hot proteins versus cooler proteins. Like chicken is a hot protein. So if you have a dog that has extensive pounding issues and you're feeding chicken in the summer, expect your dog to run hot compared to if they're eating something like venison or lamb or some shit like that, which is more of a cooling protein that affects your dog's body. And same thing with the kibble.
Right. The other thing is, check your dog's basal metabolism rate. That's the most important thing you can do. And it's really simple. There's a simple tool. It probably costs less than $3, and you can get it at CVS. It's called a thermometer.
Oh, what do they look like? Do you guys stick it up your dog's butt too? Like
You do.
Like
Yep.
I do, Zach?
Yep. You stick it up your dog's butt. You know,
What?
Zach probably knows. You
Zach,
probably
you know
don't
about
know.
this.
Yeah, I
shit.
know all about it. Yeah.
Hey, what's the difference between a rectal thermometer and an oral thermometer?
Zach?
You don't want to put the wrong one in your mouth. That's for sure.
There's nothing.
Taste.
Yeah, I would imagine so. Oh,
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but take your dog's basal temperature in the morning.
mm-hmm.
It should be around 101, 101 and a half. And
Okay, you said basal temperature. People are thinking of the fucking leaf right now.
The herb. Yeah.
Explain to people
It's
what
your
basal.
base metabolism rate, your
Okay.
basic metabolism rate, how fast you metabolize stuff. Dogs, because every chemical reaction takes place at an optimal temperature. In a dog, that optimal temperature is 101 and a half. Okay?
Okay.
So if your dog is cooking at
103,
then he's
102.
well, I'm more concerned about 98.
A dog under?
Yeah.
Yeah, under.
Because then he's not cooking, and those dogs, that's your most common cause of obesity that we see.
So
is
dogs
are
are lower temperature. Yeah, they're
Yep.
more going to be more prone to being obese.
They're easier keepers. No, they're not.
Yeah.
Their metabolism rate isn't right and usually it's because of contaminations, and we do a
Most
detox.
companion breeds, easy keepers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Gotta
Yeah.
watch that, there, boy.
Yeah. And they're, they get, but I've seen it in all breeds, believe me.
Yeah.
That where their metabolism rate is low, and the people take the temperature, and I can take the temperature when you get to my clinic,
Mm-hmm.
but if he's running 101 and a half to 102, I don't know. Like, if you come to see me, Stan, how long have you driven? You're in the car for
3
2 hours.
Yeah, 3 hours.
That dog should have a fever, right? He should be running hot. So
Yeah.
if I took his temperature and he's 101, I can't tell you definitely he has a problem, but there's a pretty good indication that he has. But if you get up in the morning and you take your dog's temperature before he gets to moving around and before he's eating, and it's under 100, then that's a problem that needs to be addressed.
So I'm going to get into the fertility side of things. If dogs are usually hot, they usually tend to have smaller litters, or their sperm count is not as strong when they're running hot. But if they're obese as well and they're running low, their also sperm count doesn't tend to be high. So I guess you just got to find a balance or happy medium.
101 to 101 and a half. Yeah. You don't want them to have a fever. You don't want them to have, yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's where you want it to be. Yeah.
This is a absolutely great episode.
Yeah.
If you guys, I know we got a few questions in here. You want to go ahead and we got 3 questions in here. Let's answer these and then call it a night.
All right. Shoot.
First question: how affordable is an animal chiropractor? Affordable, not that expensive, or a little pricey?
Well, it all depends on where you go and how, a good animal chiropractor should be worth his weight in gold to your dog.
Yeah.
Okay. Just like a good dog food. We have days where, like if you come to see me on Tuesday from 1 to 6, we have free spinal check day. So I'm going to check your dog's spine for free. And if he doesn't need to be adjusted, no charge.
Yeah.
Okay. If he needs to be adjusted, new dogs are $75. Now, any other day of the week, it's $150.
And
Same thing.
You got to look at animal chiropractor as an investment. It's just kind of like the same thing when if I really break down the X-Dog vest, because that's one of the things, like, man, it's really pricey. Not when you weigh out the benefits versus what you're investing into. Like, for example, like an X-Dog vest, let's say on average is like $125, $130 for a medium, right? And That's 2 bags of dog food right now, right? And it'll enhance your dog's food. And let's just say is $130. Let's say the vest lasts you on average 3 to 4 years if you take care of it. It's about 13 cents a day. You know,
There you go.
and so you have to, you have to start looking at things as investments instead of bills. And an animal chiropractor, I would say, is an investment.
Yeah, like I told you at the beginning, that lady spent 10 grand,
Yeah.
came in and spent
Yeah.
150, and dog was better. So, and I guarantee you that every certified animal chiropractor knows what is chiropractic, but not every veterinarian knows what isn't chiropractic. So if you go to the animal chiropractor, it's not chiropractic, they're going to send you to the vet. If you go to the vet and it is chiropractic, probably not going to send you to the chiropractor. So huge difference there. Okay. All right. Second question.
Rolling on to question number 2. Katie Poo says, how many times per day should a dog poop? I'm fostering a Frenchie who averages 4 to 6 poops each day.
That's a problem.
That's a lot.
We're probably eating a commercially available low-grade kibble.
Or how many times are you feeding it? 2-3 times a day? Like,
is it free fed?
Yeah.
Goddamn, like
that's a lot.
Yeah, but
I don't even think if you free fed a dog is pooping 4 or 5 times a day. Like that's just insane.
It's not processing something; it's just running straight through it.
Yeah, and there's probably a lot of filler in that food too.
A lot of filler would be an understatement.
So, I mean, would you just consider even though it says there's protein in a bag of dog food, do you consider that protein? Like, I would just, like you said, I kind of look at it like a filler, right? Like if you're going to use it, you should probably still, and hey, even if you don't add extra meat, find some type of protein that you can add and just extra stuff to the kibble to make it a more balanced for their digestion process. Like, I mean, fruits, stuff like that, apples, blueberries, something that's going to help with the gut to.
Yeah. I don't like to eat tonight my steak came off the grill at about 7:15. But wait a minute, I'm in here, right? So my steak has been sitting in there. It's off the grill, but guess what? It's still kind of cooking, isn't it? Because it was still. And what are my chances of it being pink when I get in there?
I don't know.
Not very good. It's going to be overdone.
Yeah.
Just like kibble. And so,
here's the thing too, like Zach, like you're talking about fruits, like you got to make sure that you blend those up and because, dogs can't break down the cellular walls of certain types of fruits, like, so you got to make sure you blend those up. But this whole myth of this, like too much protein fucks up a dog is like, to me, it's BS because like raw fed dogs are they thrive. It's high protein kibble mixed with preservatives and all these other fucking fillers that could cause problematic issues. So,
look at how much protein that you're actually. So, it's let me use a horse food example, but it's really similar to dog food. That's just easier the math is easier in horses. We feed a 32% protein to our horses. And we feed 2 pounds of it a day. So our horses get 0.6 of a pound of protein per day. All right, a little over that. Okay, one of our clients that was getting the same food, took their horse to a specialist, and they looked at the food and they go, "Oh my God, your horse is getting way too much protein. You need to feed this 10% protein." And feed 12 pounds of it a day.
Okay.
So how much protein is that a day? 1.2 pounds. It's twice as much protein as the horse was currently getting.
Yeah.
But how much filler? Because we feed 2 pounds of total food a day, and now they were wanting the horse to eat 12 pounds. So a lot of filler. So look at when you can't look at percentage. That doesn't mean anything. You have to look at actually how you have to do the math and figure out how much are you actually feeding.
Gotcha. All right, moving on to question number 3. Neely Watt says, in the last podcast, you mentioned there was a large number of dogs that are low in calcium. What are some ways to help with that? Supplements, food? What's your recommendations?
I mentioned that the exact quote was that 94% of dogs on commercially available kibble, no matter which kibble it is, are hypocalcemic, so low calcium. So the number one way is to just feed raw food or freeze-dried food or something like that.
Take you a farm fresh fucking egg, let it take the shell, air dry it, let it air dry, blend it up. It's 100% calcium.
Right. And
don't wash
it. If you feed the grocery store ones, it doesn't work as well.
Yeah.
One thing you can do is go ahead and take those eggs, put them in the food dehydrator, the eggshells, put them in the food dehydrator, and then or your oven at like 150 and leave the door open. So what we do is like a couple dozen eggs at a time. We just kind of keep them and then do it. And then once they're dry, use a rolling pin on them. Hard-boiled eggs work real well. Just feed your dog a hard-boiled egg. Cut it in half and throw it in their dog food bowl.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And then I guess the next best thing would be a calcium supplement.
Right. Bone meal is a good one.
Yeah. Bone meal is excellent, actually. Yeah.
I had a breeder tell me, an older breeder that I talked to a lot, when a female went into heat and she had a puppy or whatever, she had a litter and she blew her coat, and he told me, he was like, you can use Tums. Like if you don't have anything else available, just add like 1 or 2 Tums to her diet.
Well, it's calcium supplement.
Yeah.
It's going to be better if it's a non-processed calcium supplement, like,
More natural.
or something.
Yeah,
like
more
that.
natural. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, Dr. O, anything else before we get up out of here today?
Nope. We'll see you in what's the third? What's the third Thursday in March?
Yeah.
We'll
Third
be-
Thursday of March. And we'll be on Zoom, guys. We're getting off Instagram just because we're getting so many listens off Instagram and stuff like that. So we will be doing contests and giveaways off Instagram as far as like those who subscribe, leave the #1 reviews and stuff like that. So stay tuned on that. That's why you kind of really haven't seen us. I mean, we've been on on Instagram, but we are moving over to quality because we're actually ranked in the top 30 now. And so being ranked in the top 30 in our category is a big deal. And so we want to bring out a higher quality content, I guess, as far as that goes. And so being able to do that, sometimes Instagram is just too inconsistent. And so tonight we've been fortunate. I don't think none of us have been blurry, but no one said anything. But
we've been good tonight.
March 16th.
Yeah, I was going to say there's 5 Thursdays in March. So
March 16th. Yep.
All right. So
we'll see
we'll
y'all the 16th.
So make sure you have your questions on March 16th. And then, man, thank you again, Dr. O. And as always, Team X Dog Strong. Talk to y'all soon.
yes, sir.